What's good, everyone, and welcome to the Waterboys channel. As today, this will be our first kickoff into week one as we had the Buccaneers taking on the Cowboys. But before I want to dive into any of that, we did have a lot of news that kind of broke today, so I want to cover that before we dive into the exciting, thrilling game that happened Thursday night. But let's take place, and I know we always go in depth with the Ravens, and it just seems like they're the most newsworthy team right now for all the wrong reasons, unfortunately. But trust me, this isn't just a Ravens channel. They're the ones taking the news waves, and right now they got unfortunate news again with both Gus Edwards and Marcus Peters. They both unfortunately tore their ACL, and honestly, what they said was, I think Gus Edwards, I don't want to say it like that, but it is. It's what happened. He tore his ACL the first play, and then the next play, Marcus Peters did it, and they just canceled practice right afterwards. They're like, yeah, we can't keep doing this. And the immediate response for the Gus Edwards was they went and signed Devontae Freeman to the practice squad. Now, my initial reaction to Devontae Freeman is I'm not too big or hyped about it. We know he got signed to the Giants last year, and he didn't really do much. And honestly, last year was when I got hyped about it because I was like, okay, Saquon's hurt. He'd be a great stash on your bench and a potential number two or flex back for you. But then he never proved to do much for anybody, and he just felt like he was washed. This is basically just a depth position for me. It shows me everything I needed to know, which is I think they want to stick with Le'Veon. I know it's initial reaction because Gus just got hurt, but right now it looks like they want Le'Veon to be the bell cow as of what it was. But then fast forward to when the game kicked off. Now the initial one that I wanted to happen, they finally made it happen. They signed Latavius Murray, which honestly, one, they got a lot of backs now. Honestly, I think their backfield is stronger than what it was initially. But that's what the Ravens need. They're a running team, so they need to try to find a way to keep implementing the run game. And with Latavius Murray and Le'Veon, I think those are your good 1-2. I don't think Freeman will have anything or any much impact this year, but who knows? I think Latavius Murray should be your bell cow, but again, they'll probably like Bell to give him a chance with it. But Murray, I think he's the more dynamic back in the backfield that will be more explosive for the Ravens. I think he's more proven too. Like last year, he did really well when Alvin Kamara was hurt. And like I want to say it was for a couple games, and he came in and he showed out. And I think he, like I mentioned in the podcast with Tim, I think this is his moment to shine. I've wanted to see him in a starter role for a while. I didn't check back, but like I know if he was behind Peterson, I know he was behind Cook and now Kamara, and he always seems to shine in that role. I want to see him with more carries and see what he's able to do. Bell, I mentioned it. I don't know if he is Bell from 4 or 5 years ago. Now, if you get a 75 to 80% Bell and a motivated Bell and someone who wants to prove he still got it in the tank, then yeah, it could be something interesting. But I wouldn't expect much out of Le'Veon this year. Now, I don't want to keep going and diving into negative, upsetting news, and that's what the Ravens have been doing a lot of. So let's talk big money, big contract. We got a payday. And I don't know why Steeler fans or why Steeler media was hyping it up like TJ Watt wasn't going to show up or he wasn't going to play. We knew he was going to make his money, and he did. He signed a 4-year extension worth 112 million, 80 million guaranteed. That's 28 million yearly. He is the highest defensive player to date, and he's well deserved of it. He rushes the passer, honestly, I think better than his brother did in his prime. I think he's got the potential to be a defensive player of the year if he keeps it up. And I just think that was someone you had to lock down. So the Steelers have always been known for their defense, and he, in my opinion, and I don't think it's hard to point out, I think he's the best player on the Steelers. He could be one of the best players in the league, let alone on the defensive side of the ball. So I didn't think there was going to be ever any issue of locking him up. Now, I knew it would be before the season, and then we all heard, like, oh, they're not offering him the money. And then there was this report, which is wild if it's true, was his agent at the end of it was asking for more money, and then TJ was like, "No, I'm going back in. We're signing this." He's like, "I'm the highest paid. I'm getting my money." Now that's crazy if he just ignored his agent, and maybe I don't know if he's still his agent or not. I don't even know if those are real reports, but if that is, like, hey, he did the right thing. Like, you're still the highest paid. Like, you don't got to go try fetching for more. But then again, you never know. I'm not an NFL player. I don't know how contracts work. But kudos to him. He got his bread, and I think he'll be one of the top defensive ends in the league this year. Now, the main reason we are here today, we had a football game, and we had a very exciting one. Honestly, once we look back when the season wraps up, this could be a top 5 game of the year. It was very exciting. It was really thrilling. The final score was the Buccaneers 31, the Cowboys 29, and honestly, I'm going to say it as I say it. You leave too much time on the clock for Brady, he's going to win the game. But that being said, too, it wouldn't be a game if the refs didn't get involved, right? And that's unfortunately what happened. Now, you could choose if you want to say Chris Godwin pushed off or not. Honestly, I think he did. It was right in front of the ref, too. But again, we always, complain about, oh, let them play football and things like that. But I think in that situation, when it's that obvious, you make the call. There's still time on the clock. Brady probably still would have drove down and got him in range. But with that, Godwin had a very up and down game too, but he ended up balling out and having an amazing game as well. I know because I got 2 fantasy teams, and in both of them I'm going against him, and he scored 23 fantasy points, but I ain't counting myself out yet. That's just one player, but he did really well. But the reason I said up and down is because the Bucs could have, I wouldn't want to say easily handle the Cowboys, but he dropped, I wouldn't say a touchdown either, but it was like a good 50-yard gain, like just completely dropped it on 3rd down. And then he could have ran in for a touchdown, or if not on the 1, and that ball was just punched out, fumbled back to the Cowboys. But then again, in the first half, he was balling. He was looking really good. He was looking like himself. Tom Brady. Me and Tim went back and forth with this. Tim said he was going to be a 400-yard passer. He was close. He was 373. But I said he was going to throw 4 touchdowns, and he did. It just seemed like the type of game, like Dallas's defense, I just didn't think could be enough and stop him. Now, Dallas's defense did show some positive sides in it. They had a couple turnovers. Honestly, one was on Leonard Fournette. I don't know how you drop a easy screen route like that. Honestly, I thought from initial look, it looked like Brady overthrew him and just lobbed it too high. But it hit both of his hands, and honestly, it was a perfect pass. And he dropped it, and I think it was right into Diggs' hand. Like, that just can't happen. And you could tell Brady didn't like that whatsoever. And another one we called out as well was Antonio Brown. For some reason, somehow, I just feel like Antonio Brown's going to have a big year this year. Like I said, him and Brady got one of the weirdest relationships. I don't know how they're friends or why they're friends, but it works, and they make a great connection on the field. And I don't know if that will hurt, but it showed in this game. Mike Evans was the odd man out, even though he did have some passes where Trevon Diggs made some great plays on him, and he had him locked down. I think Evans had like 3 catches for 54 yards, and he was hushed. He was quiet on the night. Another scary factor for the Buccaneers will be, now, I don't know if it'll last all year or not, but Rob Gronkowski, he had an amazing game. Like, let me look down. What was it? He had 8 catches for 90 yards and 2 touchdowns. That was like the Rob Gronkowski of old, and the Cowboys had no way of stopping him. Now, he doesn't look like he has the acceleration as what he once was, but with all those offensive firepower around him, it might help him throughout the year to make him play a full year. That's my only concern with Gronkowski is once it gets towards November and December, is he gonna be healthy? And if he is, I almost said New England. But Tampa Bay, yes, we got Brady and we got Gronk. Yes, they can be what they were in New England if they stay healthy. Definitely if Gronk does. I'm not too concerned with Brady, but if Gronk can stay healthy a full year, you could have a solidified tight end also in your fantasy league as well. Now let's move to the Dallas side of the ball. One thing I was concerned about, which honestly, it wasn't too shaky because Dallas's O-line did hold up for the most part. And what I loved and what we all love to see is Dak Prescott looking very healthy, and he was balling. Let's not get it confused or twisted whatsoever. When Dak is healthy, he is a top 5 quarterback in this league. Yes, I said it. He's a top 5 quarterback in this league, and he even proved it tonight. It was crazy. He was the one thing I was surprised with what the Cowboys did, but once the game started moving along as well, I understood it. Was I don't even know exactly, but he threw the ball plus 50 times in the game, which I would never have expected. I thought they were going to run more. But then with that said too, Tampa Bay stops the run very, very well. So I understood why they stuck with the pass, and I understand where I'm about to go with this as well. You fantasy owners and Ezekiel Elliott, yes, you are going to be mad. You are going to think, man, another year of Zeke doing this again. But honestly, I was really impressed with Zeke in a football aspect. Now, fantasy wise, I get it. He only gave you 5 points. There's every reason to be mad. But what Mike McCarthy did, which I thought was very impressive, was if we're gonna stick with the pass, we got to make sure no one touches Dak. Now, with that, he did get touched, but the way Zeke was picking up these edge rushers and the linebackers coming in and just taking them out, he did his job, and like it kept Dak upright and it kept them in the game. And honestly, they should have won the game. And I think just in that aspect alone, yeah, he didn't go running crazy or anything like that, but he helped his team almost win a game, which they honestly should have won. Now let's talk about this crazy receiving core that Dallas has. I'm gonna kind of keep hush on Michael Gallup because he did start the game off with like 3 catches right out the gate, and I'm like, oh, this might be his game. And then I guess he kind of like tweaked his ankle towards the end. I don't have much injury report on that or anything or heard anything as well, but he only ended the game with 30 yards. Let's talk about the other 2 receivers. CeeDee Lamb balled out over 100 yards and a touchdown. One thing I'm going to say right now, and I'm tired of seeing it all over social media, is people are like, I told you, CeeDee Lamb, he's going to be a top 5, top 10 receiver. We all knew this when he was drafted, so don't act like this is no bold prediction, because it's not. Like, we know who he is, so don't act like you're claiming, oh, I was here first saying CeeDee Lamb was top 5 receiver, top 10. Everyone knew that. Dallas knew that. That's why they drafted him. He's going to be a stud. Now, one thing that's going to take me out is what I said in the podcast before was he's their number 1 receiver. Amari Cooper looks like he's going to have something to say about that. He had 13 catches, over 130 yards, and 2 touchdowns. He came out, I want to say it was the day before the game, and said he believes he's the best receiver in the game. He just hasn't proven it. Well, he let his play talk today, and if he keeps playing like that, he might be the best receiver. He's got to put it out on the longevity of the season, but man, to have Cooper and Lamb, if they keep balling out like this, and if I know fantasy owners are going to hate it, but if Zeke can protect for Dak, and yes, he will get his rushing yards. Every game's not going to be like this where Dak's throwing 50 times a game, but and Dak doing what he needs to do as well, Dallas is going to be scary, and they might see Tampa Bay in the playoffs, and it might be a different result because if they can stay healthy, I said Dallas could be a scary team in the NFC, and I love what I seen. The only reason I didn't pick them was because I didn't know how healthy Dak looked, how that O-line looked, and that defense. Now, they almost gave me my first upset, but I wouldn't really taken an upset. I still got the W. I would have still been happy if Dallas would have won, but again, it was a great game to see, and maybe we'll see it again in the NFC Championship or divisional round. I think it's something we need to see again because I think Dallas will take it. And last thing I do want to cover on Dallas' side as well is the kicking game. That kicking game, Greg Zuerlein, we know him from the Rams. He was one of the best kickers in the league, and he started off very rocky. And now apparently he has surgery in the offseason on his back, and you could tell like he hasn't kicked in a while or what. Everything was like swaying left. He missed the first kick like wide left. Like I think a fan like in the like left upper side caught that ball. Like that's crazy. And then the next one he doinked off the upright, which was that it was an extra point. Now people are gonna say that cost him the game. And if you want to nitpick every little thing, I mean yes, that is 4 points. So that would have helped, and then Tampa Bay would have had the drive for a touchdown, but it also shows he did recoup and he did retake and show us why he's the kicker he was. And I'm not going to hold it against him as well. Like that 60-yard field goal, like I thought that was ridiculous. I thought that was a bad play calling. And that could have actually went back and bit McCarthy in the butt too as well because you missed that and Brady could have just easily completed a 20-yard pass and that's another field goal and that's more points on the board. Lucky that it happened, but actually in that sequence as well, Brady almost got bit because he threw a pick in the end zone off a Hail Mary, and he almost returned that too. So it's just crazy how the game of football works. But then Zuerlein made a kick within a minute 40, and we just all knew that was just too much time for Brady. But I'm not going to blame the loss on Zuerlein. It's just a lot of things in the game that happens that ends up in a win or a loss. So yeah, Zuerlein struggled, but he did recover at the end as well. So I'll give him kudos for finding himself at the end. With that being said, that'll wrap up this quick video. This will basically be going in with Thursday night, but I do want you to know as well, Saturday, we got like a movie for y'all. We're going to be going through every pick, every game. Me, Tim, we will have a guest in as well. This will be fun. You guys need to tune in because we're going to be going back and forth on a lot of things. And if there is any extra NFL news, I will cover that as well. But if you guys don't want to miss out on that, be sure to subscribe down below. It'll be a little red button. Be sure to click that. And if you did like this video, please do give me that thumbs up as well. I do have a page on Facebook and Twitter. Twitter will keep you up to date on all the latest NFL news and rumors. I do be going in even live game when I can if I don't get too distracted by the game. And on Facebook, I post every video, so you won't miss out on anything. And with that being said, if you guys did make it this far in the video, it is greatly appreciated, and you guys do take care. Peace.